I don't care who disagrees with this. You should absolutely be the number one most important person in your own life, period. Duh, of course you should be the most important person in your own life. Of course you should come first because you can only love other people from the love you've already given to yourself. And I don't know where we got this wrong, where we think that, we have to put other people before us in order to be a good person. But I think it's complete BS. We can only pour from what we already have in our own cup. And I have found in my own personal experience that the more I pour into myself, the more I'm able to pour into other people. And whenever I have been led to feel like bad about doing that and I stop taking care of myself, I do find that I'm not really able to show up as my best self when it comes to loving other people either. And so honestly, it's just a matter of priority. You should come first. I never said you should be the only important person in your own life, but you should be the number one most important person in your own life because that is the source of everything else. That is where you're drawing from. And I know that that statement can make a lot of people feel uncomfortable, especially because we've been programmed to think that self-love and self-care and focusing on yourself and loving yourself first is selfish, which is so ridiculous because that uncomfortable feeling that you get, that feeling that you're gonna be called selfish if you prioritize yourself, like that is exactly what I want to talk about today. It is my experience that we've all been taught like a set of rules on how to behave. I have a video on this channel where I shared my story and I talked about how my life wasn't really my own because I was following other people's rules. And I never sat to ask myself like what I wanted, what my rules are. One of those rules that I was taught, and I feel like a lot of other people have been taught, was to always put other people first. I think that's a really bad rule for life in general because it will lead you to burning out and will lead you to running yourself to the ground to lift other people up. And then it's like at the end of the day, you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, what did I do for me? What did I get out of any of this? I think you should 100% put yourself first. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people who have a lot of friends and a lot of accolades and people who love them secretly feel empty inside because they know that the price for outside validation was to abandon themselves and to never making themselves a priority. And at least for me, that is a price I'm not willing to pay anymore. So today we're going to talk about why putting yourself first is so important. I mean, it should really be common sense, but it's not. But I do believe that once you learn to put yourself first, and once you understand how important it is to put yourself first, that is how you get back in control of your own life. That is how you create a life that you love, a life that you want. That is how you create a life that feels good to you. So let's talk about this lie, this selfish lie. The first thing that people think when they hear someone talk about putting yourself first is the word selfish. Because we were taught that taking care of ourselves is selfish. We were taught that saying no is selfish. We were taught that doing what's best for us is selfish. But that is some BS. I'm sorry. That's some complete BS. I don't think they're right at all. I think they're completely wrong. I think the evidence shows that they're completely wrong. Like if I'm using my lawyer brain, you have to look at the evidence. The evidence shows that when you don't put yourself first, you end up being burnt out and you end up living a life that doesn't feel good to you. And it makes no sense to pour so much of yourself and then never leaving anything for you, never making yourself the priority. The evidence shows that that's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. I'm looking for some big word, but honestly, all I'm getting is it's ridiculous. Taking care of yourself is not the same as being selfish. And we have to like rewire our mind and think differently about it because if we keep thinking that taking care of ourselves is selfish, we won't do it. And that will keep us from living our own lives. Let me give you a perfect example of this. Think about the safety instructions that you get when you board an airplane. They always tell you to put your own oxygen mask first, even if you have a child with you. They always tell you to put your own mask first before you help anyone else. And the reason for this is if you pass out You can't help anyone else. It's that simple. You cannot give what you don't have. So always putting yourself last isn't the right thing to do. It's why people get burnt out. It's why people live a life that they don't like. It makes you feel like a stranger in your own life because you never, ever just make yourself the priority. It's like you're allowing all these people to come over and take over your life, but you never make time to ask yourself what you want, what makes you feel good. You never have the courage to say no when something doesn't align with what you want. That is why you feel like a stranger in your own life. You've never prioritized yourself before. It's like in that video, I'm going to post it down below. I talked about how it's like you own a house. Like, let's say your life was a house and you own it. Obviously, it's your life that God gave you, but you've allowed everybody else to take over. You've allowed their needs and their opinions to take over your life. And now you're stuck in one little small room in your own life, wondering why you don't feel at home, why you don't feel good, because you're so busy taking care of everybody else. A lot of people feel empty for this exact reason. They're always putting themselves on the back burner to be a good person. You don't have to sacrifice yourself to be a good person. Because yeah, you can be a good person to other people, but you're not a good person to yourself. You're not kind to yourself. What's the point? What's the point if at the end of your life, everything you've done was for everybody else and none of it was for you? When you are your number one responsibility, when you're the only one that has to answer for yourself, like you're the one that's in your body, you're the one that has to advocate for your own needs. No one owes that to you. No one owes it to you to take care of you. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. So let me talk about what being number one in your own life looks like. Okay. That's like saying being the main character of your own life. So what does this look like in real life? Okay. First of all, it's not about being a jerk because that's not what we're talking about here. It's not about being a narcissist. That is not what we're talking about here. It's about being in charge of your own life. It's about having the courage to independently decide for yourself what you want outside of what anyone may think about it. So first, you have to get comfortable saying no. If there was one thing you can get from this video, and nothing else, it would be this. Learn to say no. It's two little letters, but it's the most powerful way of creating a life that you like that I have found out, that I have learned. The more comfortable I became with saying no, the happier I became. When you say no to something you don't want, you're saying yes to yourself. And the more you say yes to yourself, the happier you become. This looks like saying no to someone asking you for a favor when you already had your personal plans. Saying no to going to a party that you don't want to go to is a yes to your own peace. A boundary just means that you decide what's okay for you. The second tip I have for you is learn to take care of your own needs. Learn to take care of your own needs and don't feel guilty about it. I'm talking about the simple stuff. Sometimes we think self-care is this big elaborate thing, but it's really simple. Rest when it's time to rest. Quiet if you need it. Give yourself some time alone when you need it. You need to treat your own personal needs like they're important because they are. And sometimes we think everybody else's needs and desires are more important than our needs, but it's not. You need to give yourself the same care and the same attention that you give to everybody else. That's essentially what I'm saying. I'm not even asking you to do anything differently. I'm just asking you to redirect it to yourself. The same way you care about your friend when they're going through a really hard time and you stay on the phone with them and you give them your time and your attention, give yourself the time and the attention as well. That's all I'm saying. The way that you'll jump in your car and go rescue your friend who's stuck in the middle of the highway, like show up for yourself. Like when you need to do hard things, you're willing to do hard things for other people, but you're not willing to do hard things for yourself. That's all I'm asking you to do. The same thing you're doing for everybody else, redirect it to you. Simple. Last, but definitely not least, start listening to your gut. Okay. Stop making decisions based on what you should do, based on some rules that society came up with or your family came up with or whoever came up with. And stop caring about what other people think. Stop making decisions based on what other people expect you to do. and start making choices and decisions based on what feels right for you. Trust yourself again. Learn to trust yourself again, because that is how you're going to get back in the driver's seat of your own life. And I think I really want to do a video on how to trust yourself. Like, let me know down below if you want me to do that, because I think that's so important. I think maybe the reason why you've allowed other people to take over your life. I know for me, like looking back at my own life, probably the reason why I have allowed other people to create my life for me was because I didn't trust my own self. I didn't trust my gut feelings. I didn't trust my own decision making abilities. Like, I was always so scared to be wrong. So I would just let other people to come and make decisions for me because I didn't trust myself. So you have to trust yourself in order to do this. You have to trust yourself in order to make yourself the number one most important person in your own life, right? Because your life, your rules. Look, this is not always going to be easy. It's going to be a process. It took me years to get here. But when you start saying no and seeing what it feels like, you're going to want to do it again. Now, I'll give you a quick warning. Some people will not like it. Okay. The people who are benefiting from you not loving yourself and not prioritizing yourself are not going to like it. And that's great, because that's great information on who needs to stay in your life and who doesn't need to stay in your life. You cannot make everybody happy. This is about living the one life you have in a way that at least you can come out of it being happy, right? Putting yourself first is not selfish, it's necessary. You are the only person who will be with you your entire life. Let me say that again. You are the only person who will be with you your entire life. Taking care of yourself is your main job. And when you do that, when you learn to let go of that old programming that taking care of yourself is selfish, you're going to become a better and stronger person for everybody else. So I have a challenge for you this week. I want you to find one small way to put yourself first and just do it. Don't make any excuses. Maybe it's taking a real lunch break instead of eating at your desk if you have a desk job. Maybe it's saying no to one small thing, and maybe it's blocking off an evening to do nothing. Okay. So one of my favorite movies of all time is Eat, Pray, Love. And when she went to Italy, there's this term called, I'm gonna mess it up. Something far niente. Far niente. Anyway, it's an Italian word which translates to the joy of doing nothing, right? If you're someone who just cannot come up with a way to put yourself first, just like block off an evening and do nothing. Literally just do nothing. Just sit there and just be with yourself. Cook your favorite meal, watch your favorite movie, like whatever it is. Do nothing. Nothing productive anyways. Something else I love to do is taking myself on solo dates. I love doing that. Like, find a nice restaurant with a nice view and go and sit there and just be there and just eat with yourself and enjoy your own company. There are so many ways of doing this. If you guys want me to make a video talking about all of the little activities that you can do to put yourself first and to prioritize yourself, I can do it. And just to give you guys some more ideas on what your options are. But ultimately, you just need to do it, because I'm going to say it again. You, not only should you be, but you are the most important person in your own life, period. So I hope you act like it, think like it, talk like it, and I hope you build a life that reflects how important you are to yourself. I hope that everything you do reflects the actions of someone who loves themselves and who prioritizes themselves. So if this helped, go ahead and subscribe. I invite you to like, I invite you to comment all the wonderful things. And I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know down below, like, your thoughts, anything else you'd like me to talk more about. I would love to hear what you have to say. See you next time.